Okay, what up, ladies and gents? It's your favorite Asian robot right here. Hopefully, your favorite official content creator for the First Descendant. All right. Normally, I don't like to do videos like this. I've actually been thinking about it for the past few days, but I think I need to say some of the things that just need to be said right now about this game that we all enjoy and love. All right, so you can enjoy Freyna in the mini hot springs in the background while I talk about all this. And normally I also, I advertise my music at the start of the video, but I'm not gonna do that today because I'm gonna try and keep this short, but at the same time also informative because I think we got a serious player count problem. All right, look, over the past few days, I've been posting up some YouTube shorts and things like that, asking for feedback, and I'm actually surprised by the amount of feedback that I got. You might think that a lot of the feedback is just coming from trolls or it's a lot of noise. I actually filtered out all the noise, and there's a lot of genuine comments in there that is pretty insane. I'm going to walk you through it step by step, but basically, let's open up this window for a bit. And let's talk about it. So first and foremost, the First Descendant is having one of the lowest weekends right now, with a peak of only 9,155 on a Saturday/Sunday, which is not really too fantastic. In fact, this trend has been happening ever since the season dropped, and things haven't really been good. I feel like a lot of attention on the First Descendant has waned, and if you think about how long we actually have in the season, for those that do not know, and a lot of people, they're hyping up Season 3, but there's still 52 days left in Season 2, Episode 2. We've literally had one mid-season update. There's another one coming, and then finally it'll be Season 3. So there's still a long way to go here, and it's kind of wild that that this season seems pretty much dead already. I don't even know why they bothered to do Season 2, Episode 2 if they were just going to talk about Season 3 so soon. And while a lot of people are hoping that Season 3 is going to fix this, I don't know, because the devs need to understand what's actually going wrong with their game. So let me quickly walk you through it. All right, well, as quick as I can. First and foremost, what we need to understand is that Season 2, Episode 2 began in March. That was here, March 13th. All right, we jumped up from a 7,000 concurrent player count to about 21,000. This actually continued with very high player numbers over several days. All right, this is March 13th for several weeks, actually. All right, and it started to dip closer to April. So once people had experienced the storyline content, done a little bit of this, done a little bit of that, had their fun with Serena, player numbers started to dip, which is natural, right? However, content is so repetitive that these player numbers dip and dip and dip and dip and dip, and every day more like not enough people are joining the game, and more of the veterans are saying, okay, I've done what I need to do, I'm good, let me just sleep until the next bit of content. Then, all right, then let's zoom in close. Okay, on April 3rd, there was the so-called balancing patch. Now, this one is one where everybody and their grandmother said, oh, if you start balancing characters, we'll play the game more because, oh, now we've got variety, now we can do all sorts of this and that and the other, so they did. They tried to do a balancing patch. Granted, it wasn't, a full-on balancing patch, but it did make a lot of characters that were previously not so strong, stronger, right? And the numbers barely moved. In fact, the numbers actually dipped off very soon because of the Ines nerf, and the devs got review bombed on Steam. Not exactly great, right? Then after that, we had Ultimate Blair's release, and this one was probably the saddest thing because when Ultimate Blair released, we were at like 7,000 again. We jumped up to, I believe the top here was 14,000. And then immediately after the weekend, we dipped by about 3,000 already, and now we're back in that state where it's close to 7,000. I think we're going to hit it again next week. So what's the problem here? What's the big problem? Well, if you look at my YouTube shorts, all right, I've been doing a couple of little research shorts, but this one is the most interesting. Why did you stop playing TFD? If you actually go into it, okay, all right, you'll see that we have over 323 comments. That includes people replying to each other, but there's a lot of comments. I've actually read through all that. You can actually go here, pull it up and read it for yourself if you guys would like. But quite frankly, there are a lot of different comments in here, and a lot of them seem to home in on one issue. You can see right from the top there, people are tired of doing the same thing over and over. This game is a grindy game. I understand that. I was the first one to tell people that, yes, this is a looter shooter. Get used to it because Grind is a part of every looter shooter. You know this. I know this. Everyone knows this. And everyone always uses the excuse of TFT's player base falling. It's like, oh, it's seasonal. Official Discord likes to use this excuse, right? It's seasonal, you know? Or people are just playing other games right now. But other games are always coming out. Games released throughout a year. If a game is enough to hold people's attention, it does not suffer from this issue. Think about it this way, all right? Let's look at Warframe. I hate using Warframe as comparison. I really do. Because Warframe people are some of the most, they're like Jehovah's Witnesses. They knock on your door every single time. It's like, have you tried Warframe? Have you tried Warframe? So I hate using Warframe as a comparison, but there's something very important. But facts are facts, all right? And here's something very important that we need to take a look at it. Look, I know Warframe is a game with a very, very long established history, but notice how their numbers are always pretty constant. You know, like it always varies around this line. It very rarely, if ever, dips. All right. And granted, I was using a last year to last year, but over the past few months, if we look at January, February, notice how it's all very consistent. Big update here, and then it goes back to being very consistent. They've got a very, very consistent player base that always hovers around 50,000. Doesn't matter what game comes out, they've always got this. All right. So what does that teach us? I'm not saying this to big up Warframe. I really am not, because if there's one game I can't stand, it's Warframe. But let me just say this. Like I said, facts are facts. Here's the big issue. Every single time there's a new game that comes out, we can't use that as an excuse for TFT's player numbers dropping. The TFT's player numbers are dropping because people are bored of TFT. A game that holds your attention doesn't make you bored, or you're bored with it, but you come back, right? That's kind of the problem that happens here. People are getting bored and putting the game down entirely because repetitive content appears to be their big issue. You run Sigma Sector 500 times, and even then sometimes you still don't get the external components you need. I should know because I farmed up like best in slot Firebrand, farmed up best in slot Plague. I'm now working on best in slot Enlightened Mind, and I haven't even finished. I'm a full-time content creator. Granted, I do only play TFT about 3-4 hours a day when I do decide to stream it, but it's rough. It's rough out there. All right, so think about the person that only has 3 hours of gaming time. They said, I could make some minor progress on this game, or I could be playing Last Epoch right now, and in 3 hours, I'm going to get unique legendary loot and everything. I'm going to feel like my character's progress toward end game. This is something that the devs must look at. All right, so devs, if you do end up watching this video, I hope you guys take my feedback to heart. You can read these comments for yourself. I suggest you do. I've already removed a lot of the noise and stuff, especially the people that are just saying, play Warframe, play Warframe. I'm not here to play Warframe, dude. If I wanted to play Warframe, I would play Warframe. I don't want to play Warframe. I want to play TFD, but that doesn't mean that I don't recognize that there's a problem or an issue. Okay, so you guys can have a read through of the comments yourself if you really are interested, but it's genuinely a rough situation right now, and I think that the biggest problem is the repetitive content. Okay, we don't have any content that is hooking people and that makes people want to play over and over again. Now, if repetitive content is the problem, what's the solution? I don't want to just identify a problem without giving you guys a solution. So I've thought up a couple of things. Look, feel free to shoot me down if you don't like these things, or feel free to think up your own solutions. Maybe get the devs to take a look at them. But here's the problem, and here's the facts. Okay, Colossus battle. These are supposed to be epic fights. Instead, we try to get them over with in 1 second so that we literally can open up the dozens of Amorphous, because we only open up one Amorphous at a time. When you're fighting something like that, what if we had a different system? Maybe I can select a number of Amorphous materials. Like maybe let me select up to 10. And the more Amorphous materials that I select, the more the difficult the Colossus is going to be. So high risk, high reward. I want to open up 10 Amorphous at once. Okay, the Colossus is at max difficulty, you know, like give them actual battle phases. Like the first phase, okay, maybe you can get it over within 1 second, right? Instead of having a frenzy state, actual battle phases. Okay, so the Colossus doesn't frenzy. You bust out all your ammo. Okay, second phase. Now, add a mechanic, a doable mechanic. Don't add some weird ass instant death mechanic. That's not fun. That's stupid. All right, so what is an example of a decent mechanic? I'm going to take something that I wrote from a D&D campaign when I was 14 and a total Chunibyo. But basically, let's use the Executioner as an example. First phase, you kill him with Serena in 1 second. Okay, great. Then he enters the second phase, Lightning Bleed. All right, in this phase, you cannot damage the executioner, and he actually teleports off the map. He will continuously rain lightning down on the map while you have to go around and kill his simulacrums. All right, his simulacrums will be running around the map. They will not engage you. They will actually run away from you. But this is where movement speed is going to be tested. So use your grappling techniques, get around the map, kill off the simulacrums. Okay, he comes back for another fight. This time around, he has a much greater health pool, but much weaker damage. All right, so this phase is also for you to recover if you need, because you will spawn minions that can drop health, MP, and all that. So use the second phase as necessary to heal up. Okay, great. Then the third phase begins. This time round, he stays on the map. All right, but the damage that you can deal directly to him is going to be minimized. All right, so this is keep in mind I'm just spitballing here, but again, this is everything that I wrote in a D&D campaign. So I'm just adapting it for TFD and creating a similar mechanic so it's not coming out of nowhere. But anyway, for this particular one, third phase, let's say in this phase he's bloodied, so his armor is hanging off of him, he's bleeding out everywhere. But in this particular phase, right, he spawns miniature executioners around the map. So he's got a much larger health pool this time as well, okay? Takes a lot less damage if you fight him directly, but if you kill the mini tormentors that spawn, okay, sorry, the mini executioners that spawn, then you gain a buff that allows you to damage him. Every time you hit a certain damage phase, or you hit a certain damage amount during this bloodied phase, right? Okay, he will perform a specialized attack that is evadable and telegraphed well. But if you stay within this attack, you will take a lot of damage. Also, each kill of his miniature simulacrums will restore some of your health and MP, but there will be no minion spawns during this phase. So you either have to kill him quick enough while engaging with his little bits, or he wipes you. You know, something like that. There's got to be some risk to combat, all right? Then, once the bloodied phase is over with, okay, then you can have like a final phase or a final boss phase. Look, we can go into details, and if the devs want to take, you know, my consultations for this, they can just do so, all right? I have a consultation fee. You can go ask Athenium for it, and then we can have a consultation. But anyway, at the end of the day, we need something to hook people into playing. We need something that is going to make people want to actually play this game and enjoy the fights, not get them over with in 1 second just so I can open up one Amorphous, and then you do that 800 times. When you do that, people get bored and they say, why am I even doing this? This is like literally one of those games where, you know, you like click on the Titan, or like cookie clicker simulator or whatever. You click on it, and then a number goes up, and you slowly feel satisfied, but after some time you wonder to yourself, why am I clicking on this? You know? So I feel that grind is good for looter shooters, but when the grind becomes nothing more than a repetitive thing that's not stimulating our minds, it's not stimulating us in a meaningful way, you don't feel like grinding. A great example in a comparison that I can't believe I'm saying this, but Last Epoch right now makes me actually want to grind it. Because when I do find some good loot, finally, I'm like, hell yeah, you know? So I'm engaging with the content to find that dopamine hit, and I get that dopamine hit, and I carry on. Here, you get the dopamine hit when you build the weapon, when you build the Descendant, but then you have fun with that, not for a very long time, and then once you're strong, you don't really get that dopamine hit again, so it becomes like a repetitive thing, you know, and you need to grind all these things to eventually enjoy your power and enjoy your toy, so it doesn't really feel good and it doesn't feel engaging. Read the comments yourself. This is pretty much the biggest issue, but I was hoping to give my take on it. Look, I feel that if you can make grind fun, you can make loot meaningful in this game, that is probably going to be your biggest factor. When everything is focused around how quickly can I clear this so I can repeat this several thousand times, that's not fun, and that's not a fun mechanic, all right? So I'm going to be strictly honest with you. Devs, you need to understand this. What you have made is a great game, but with very repetitive, grindy systems that are not going to help you in the long term. If you want your game to succeed, then what you need to do is you need to understand that yes, we want to grind, but we need to have meaning in the grind. There must be meaning for us to grind so that when we do grind, we get a constant hit of that dopamine that tells me I want to grind more. All right, I've got this weapon now. Oh my God, now I've got this upgrade. I've got Nest of Spiders. You know, I want another Nest of Spiders. Is this one better than the one that I had before? Nest of Spiders is a unique mace in the in Last Epoch, which I just got. So, you know, you gotta have that feeling of, you know, I'm making some headway. You know, and sure, once you've reached the top, like, yes, I'm super powerful. Okay, let me go and do this with another character. That's where the balancing and that's where having variety comes in. But right now, every character is starting to feel the same. You know, even if you do introduce variety, the type of content we have to do is so repetitive that why would I use anybody but, say, Bunny, Freyna, or some of the fastest farmers in the game? Now with Venom Synthesis, Plague Set, Freyna is so insanely fast, you could just go around, poison everything, straight to the end of the map. Hey, I cleared it in 2 minutes. This means I can run again. I can keep doing like 2-minute runs to get the loot that I need to finally empower somebody else and try a different build. Like, not super fun, guys. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to this. For those of you that did listen, if you guys want to check out the comments on the short that I posted, you know, please go ahead. There's a lot of meaningful comments here. A lot of people took their time to speak about it. Devs, if you ever see this video, or you know, you decide that you want to listen to me, look, I'm here to support your game. I'll keep doing content, I'll keep doing build videos and stuff, but yeah, I just hope that you guys listen. All right, thank you very much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Well, look, I don't think a lot of people even look at this video anyway, but since it's not really a build video or anything, but it's just something that I had to get off my chest, something that I want to say. And I hope that some of the points that I made make sense to you guys, all right? I'd do a longer video essay and I could go on this topic for like an entire hour, but I don't think you guys want to watch that. So thank you guys very much, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Catch you later.